Literally, LOL to all the Republicans that, like, post Mamdani win, which also, yes, I was, like, feeling so hopeless for this country, and then Mamdani, I'm like, thank you, this is how liberal politics should go. They all are centralist, and I'm like, hello, let's go as far to the left as possible. Like, we won't be happy until there's universal health care. Do you understand? But post Mamdani win, like, when they're all like, it's so disappointing that in the city where 9/11 happened, that we just elected this person as mayor. Like, oh my God. Just say that you're racist and hate Muslim people. Like, just say that. Like, what the actual fuck does 9/11 happening in the city of New York have anything to do with this man winning? Like, as if that negates all of 9/11, as if we don't give a fuck about it now because we elected a Muslim. Like, get a fucking life, you're racist. What the hell?
What's going on, gang? Red Channels here. So, Mamdani won, as predicted in the last video. Wasn't really much of a surprise, but it happened. So now people are reacting to it, and I, of course, had some thoughts on those reactions that I'd like to share with you. So let's just dive right in. Matt Walsh said, Mamdani's win had nothing to do with the economy, nothing to do with whatever BS the pundits are selling. Mamdani won because he appealed to the tribal interests of the foreigners who have taken over the city. The longer that voters had lived in New York, the less they supported Mamdani. That's the whole story. And this is true to an extent that ethnic resentment played a role in Mamdani's victory, but it's definitely not the whole picture. Like, a lot of the longer time New York residents, quote unquote, were part of the corruption itself, are part of the institutions that produced Cuomo. And Matt Walsh's "it's not about the economy" claim is ridiculous because there are Mamdani Trump districts, as cursed as that sounds. Because what's really important to remember about this is that Mamdani's platform is basically just left-wing economic populism in action. The policies don't need to work or be very good, but the point is they're still opposed to the same power structures which are causing these problems in the first place. In response, Sneeko, of all people, said something like, no, he won because he refused to sell out to Israel, something you have yet to do. Everybody knows it, and the more you blatantly avoid it, the more people distrust a so-called patriot like you. Where does your allegiance lie, Matt? Sneeko is showing off his disappointingly average IQ anti-Zionism here. There is no critical consciousness of anti-Zionism emerging because of the left's reaction to Israel and Gaza over the past year or so now. Sneeko sees this because he identifies as a Muslim and also has a shallow understanding of the nature of Zionist political influence on American politics. So Twitter will also do this. It will frame conversations on the right in totally the wrong way. You know, don't get me wrong, the drop in support for Israel in terms of foreign policy on the right is a seismic shift, but it totally remains to be seen if this bears out at all electorally. Most people care about the cost of living, not foreign policy or foreign influence on American government. Like, that is still the bottom line for the average voter. And what we saw with this Mamdani victory, as well as left-wing victories across the board with these recent elections, was that turnout on the right was abysmally low, partly because everyone's still high off this 2024 victory vibe, partly because we have more low propensity voters in the GOP coalition, and partly because generic Republican candidates aren't motivating at all, especially not to this new voter base that the GOP has. So Dems, on the other hand, are existentially worried, and that's part of why we saw the results that we did.
So much money in New York, and now it's our money.
Yeah.
Are we paying rent tomorrow?
No. Yeah, we want to like free everything. So, and the benefit, train, bus, and also
Finally free.
Finally free. Yeah.
No more guns. Mental health experts with clipboards to help people in need.
Yeah.
White liberal women with a savior complex are
the worst. In New York City, women aged 18 to 29, 84% of them voted for Zohran Mamdani. I guarantee you most of them could not tell you why. Besides, something about empathy towards migrants. The same migrants that want to implement Sharia law, which takes away women's rights. The irony of this is women aged 18 to 29 are probably likely the target demographic for men. So they are voting to make their city less safe for themselves when they are getting stalked or harassed or raped or worse by a mentally ill homeless person. A social worker will show up, an unarmed social worker with no training, because Zohran Mamdani wants to defund the police. They want to protect the illegals in our country and make New York City a sanctuary city because Orange Man bad. But what they don't understand is that idea that there is a hierarchy to civilization, that the rest of the world is so bad we have to open our borders for other people to come in because their lives are worse outside of the country. That's an acknowledgement that there is, in fact, a hierarchy to civilizations, that there is a better way of thought, which obviously America has because we were built on capitalism. Another thing that Zohran does not believe in. These white liberal women have this guilt because I think when you perform better than the rest of the world or you see inequalities, you have a guilt about it. And you feel like you want to share your privilege. It's a natural thing. Unfortunately, people take advantage of that kindness, of that empathy. It is suicidal empathy, because what they're now making room for is an ideology and a religion who believes that women have half of a brain, who believes women should not have equal rights to men. Conservative women need to start speaking up and questioning these liberal women as to why they hold the ideas that they do. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's necessary for the survival of our future.
So a lot of the tropes this woman is identifying here are true. Guilt is a major motivating factor for the political left, particularly for liberal white women. But the issue is that she's viewing this phenomenon narrowly through these tropes. Because again, economy, really big deal in this one. And the other thing too is that this is in part because the left generally feels this sudden existential threat from the right. Culturally, their world is totally getting shaken up. Twitter's been bought. Now anyone can say anything. It's just chaos to them. Faith in the old democratic establishment, which was supported by the neighborhoods in New York City that were like Wall Street Dems, the more corporate democratic wing of the party, that faction's legitimacy is just completely gone now. And there is a significant part of the left which is looking for someone who will give them results. And they think they can get that in Mamdani, rightly or wrongly. I mean, part of what I was already going to say is, are white liberals going to get the results from Mamdani? I don't know. Not many things that are part of his platform right now will likely be implemented, but there will be a circus anytime he tries to do anything. So that may be enough for them. And keep this in mind. With Sneeko, and also to an extent Matt Walsh, a lot of people now have this meme thinking like, oh, I'm a pattern recognizer. I'm high IQ. I recognize patterns. And what's decisive in an individual's politics is their ethnic, cultural background, like heritage and social standing in wider society, and their inborn psychological disposition. Any given political position is not a strong indicator of intelligence. One of the worst things people can do is when they begin to think they're in some sort of elite intellectual club just because they're willing to make one observation. Just because Sneeko is semi-aware of Zionism's political influence, or Matt Walsh can spot how hostile immigrants often are, doesn't mean they can actually properly account for what's going on right now, right? Like populism has been vindicated for the most part, but there's an actual ongoing political realignment, which people will miss the nuances of if they see things exclusively through the lens of certain older assumptions. But anyway, as I was saying about the significance of the election, a lot of Cuomo's support basically came from Republicans and like ethnic enclaves, like Russian speaking neighborhoods. And it was kind of like a coalition between them and the Wall Street Dems. And that was not enough to win in New York. Some of the most affluent white liberal areas in the city voted massively for Mamdani, not because they've grown more self-hating of themselves as white people, but because they want to rearrange power in their party because they perceive the current establishment politics as ineffective and incompetent. Like that was really the whole conceit of the Cuomo campaign was I'm competent, I'm trustworthy, I know what I'm doing, and all that legitimacy has gone completely down the drain post 2024. And of course, the city is still continuing to get more and more expensive and ridiculously unlivable. The rent freeze rhetoric stuff on Mamdani's part is stupid and won't work. But the real answer to that problem is to just create more housing. And the right, which is in this case Cuomo, is obviously not going to do that because they represent capital. That's part of why you saw this you saw the right actually getting behind Cuomo, as hostile as he has previously been to Trump and to Republicans generally. It's because the billionaire class is intimidated by a socialist like Mamdani actually becoming mayor of New York City. And people can sense that. Ultimately, I don't think this is anything to worry about overall because Mamdani really didn't win handily. You're going to need to win New York City by more than 50% to even win New York State. So it doesn't really seem that this new radical edge that many Democrats have taken in this local election is generalizable. Like a lot of people are thinking like, okay, well, this is promising and hopeful to some people, but can it actually win the party nationwide? And the answer is an obvious no. But this is a good time to segue into the political forecast of what movements and changes are currently taking shape.
Donald Trump is terrified, and he is not being quiet about it. He is deeply unhappy about last night's losses to the Republicans. He's scared. He knows that if the shutdown does not end, it is really bad for the Republicans. So he is scrambling at this point, and he does not know what to do. I really like this for him. MAGA Republicans do not have the first clue how to run this country. They don't have good ideas. They don't have good policies. And all they do is try to remain in power so they don't go to prison. That's their goal. They don't want to go to prison. They don't want to be held accountable for all the things that they do behind closed doors and sometimes right out in public as well. They are the party of corruption. They are the party of greed, and they are going to be stopped. Last night was a huge, monumental win across the board. They should be scared. We are not going to take this anymore.
Just based on turnout, Dems will probably win in the 2026 midterms, and I assume this will mean Trump getting impeached again. People seem to be realizing this now, so there's enough time to wake up and begin messaging, but the Dems will be back in force, and it was erroneous for anyone to assume that the Democrat political machine was permanently defeated. Assuming this impeachment thing goes through, nothing will get done the second half of the presidency, and we will still likely win in 2028 because the coalition will show up again for Vance. But the thing is, structurally, what we really got to watch out for here is that losses are now so potentially devastating that the only thing that makes sense is annihilating the other party by even more aggressive rigging of the system against them. That's what we saw with redistricting in California recently with this past election. They redrew their map and went from 11 Republican seats to 4. And this is the Ragin' Cajun Carville strategy in action. Democrats, more than ever, feel existentially threatened, so they are very scared and very motivated, and many are anticipating the return of the woke. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment, give it a like, share it, subscribe if you haven't already. Sharing this video is actually the #1 way you can support this channel, so please think about doing that. But I hope you liked it, and I will try to be back at you with some more soon.